Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
I'm not giving up.
I am selling the building.
The final season of FX's The Bear.
The restaurant is flooded.
Everything's either going to be okay.
No, stop.
Or not.
We are outgunned and we are outmanned, but we have each other.
FX's The Bear, the final season. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn, a celebration of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you in partnership with DSC, Conservation, Education, and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, makers of award-winning pistols and revolvers. Stealth Vision, high-tech precision hunting optics for today's hunter. Agar Cafe, elevated coffee, elevated life. Destination Hunts, your premier hunt advisor. Choctaw Hunting Lodge for some of the finest hunting in North America. And Double Nickel Taxidermy, preserving your memories.
Mr. Brian Fienhold, DSC was absolutely fantastic this past weekend. Is what we're talking about, our summer show there at the Grapevine. What did you think of it?
Well, I'll tell you, Larry, first of all, it's great to talk to you like always, so thanks for having me on. You bet. The DSC second annual summer Expo and Foundation Gala, what a time that was. I think exhibitors, attendees, everyone that had a part of it, everyone that played a big role in making it a success. What a turnout and what an event, and it was so much fun. I'm glad we could do it together.
I am too. I'll tell you what, I had the opportunity to talk to so many different people, and we had people literally from all over the world when you get right down to it. Some of our exhibitors, some of our old-time exhibitors particularly. Mark Haldane was there, and there were several other people there from Africa and also from different parts of Europe and even New Zealand. And oh my gosh, I think I lost count of the number of countries that were represented in terms of the booths that were there. But then we also had many fantastic booths there as well too, in terms of optics, like the guys from Stealth Vision and of course, Mr. Steve Hornady and his son, Jason Hornady, were there, and that was for a good reason, wasn't it? Beyond being great supporters. I don't think we have a better supporter in DSC than Steve Hornady, quite frankly.
Well, the Hornadys have certainly been they're part of the history and the fabric of DSC, and, we're blessed with so many great partners, Larry, and you mentioned several there, and the list goes on in the industry. And so, yeah, great exhibitors, great conservation partners and outfitters from around the globe, and also quite a few dignitaries from foreign countries that were there representing their hunting and conservation part of their state or of their country's government, and the ministers of hunting and tourism from different countries. And so how nice was it to have those folks there as well, and to see more of what DSC does and how we put the dollars that we get trusted with to work to impact conservation, education, and advocacy around the globe.
Absolutely. And I one of the groups that you didn't mention, but who were there that I saw, and there were a fair contingency there from the country of Japan talking about possibly opening hunting again in Japan. That was kind of exciting. I had a chance to visit with a couple of different guys involved in some of those meetings, but I think more and more people are starting to realize around the world how important hunting is. It's kind of like the Botswana thing a few years ago after they shut down the elephant hunting, and then it didn't take very long. They finally figured out that was not the proper thing to do, and so we're back to hunting elephants in Botswana.
That's it. So many good things going on in that regard, and getting more and more people are connecting the dot between hunting and conservation, and it's a strong bond. And really, when you say one, you say the other if we do it right. And so that's exciting. And you mentioned Mr. Hornady. You know, Steve was there, and he received our Legacy Award from the DSC Foundation, which you're very active on that board and have been for a long time. And how nice was that to see him get that award and be recognized for his contributions to hunting and conservation. And again, so many great partners. The list goes on, but that was a special night for sure for Steve and his family.
No doubt. I got a chance to spend a fair amount of time with him before that and afterwards, and I know how truly appreciative he was and his entire family. And I think most of his family was there, as I recall, and some of the key people as far as his organization is concerned when it comes to Hornady Ammo. And as you mentioned, they've been such great supporters in the past. And actually, a couple of the items in the past, well, Steve's been a great supporter financially too in terms of buying hunts. But this year, we had a couple of hunts was one hunt that he and I are co-hosting there on the Ox Ranch, which too has been a great supporter. And that actually turned into two hunts. So, I'm looking forward to spending time with Steve on that hunt, kind of like we did in the past when the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, he bought the buffalo or the what we call the Choctaw McNabb last year. So, you know, and it was really good to spend time with him. He and I've been friends for a long, long time, and as have so many of the other exhibitors. I keep saying over the years that it's like a huge family reunion, but it actually is, and our family's growing, and that's the part that I really enjoy.
That is great, and you literally just took the words out of my mouth. You know, the vibe, I think, throughout the weekend and with folks celebrating different, award recipients and different activities going on the floor, and we did a lot of things. We just really expanded, how we conducted every night and every event, and we'll continuously work to improve all that. But the vibe from start to finish was very much that family reunion environment, and I think everyone can speak to that, and everyone we spoke about on this call, and all the attendees, all the exhibitor partners, the conservation partners from around the globe. It was absolutely it's the world's biggest family reunion party, and so much fun was had by all. And if you didn't know anybody, by the time you left, you knew quite a few and had made some new friends and grown your family. So it was great.
You know, one of the things that really tickled me of seeing a age class, if you will, but there were a lot of young parents there with little kids. And from baby strollers to, that 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old. And, of course, they had all kinds of things to do as well, too. But just seeing those and the number, I wish I'd kept record a little bit as far as men and women who were there. But we had a tremendous number of ladies at this event as well, too, which that to me always is a great sign. I love seeing that.
Well, I think some of the neat things that are, regarding the families and youth and even people that are relatively new to hunting, we had I think Saturday, we had an all-day hunter education class going on, and that the foundation, I think, provided lunch for all the participants. So we had a lot of, men, women, and children at that event. And so how nice was that to have right there? We had, you saw all the kids running around on the floor with their passports, because when they got the 12 stamps from the 12 participating exhibitor partners, they got to go get a little gift from our DSC membership booth, and as well as getting a youth membership to DSC. So that's been the second or third year we've been doing that. That was a lot of fun. And so, it was DSC like DSC. There was families, there were buddies there with their hunting buddies. There were young couples, there were old couples, there were many kids, and it's the melting pot, the very welcoming crowd, the very hospitable. That Texas hospitality was loud and proud from start to finish.
It really was. Of course, I think that's one of the things we pride ourselves on is how we as an organization amongst ourselves, but also, with people that are there, have that being truly a Texas hospitality situation. And I saw so many smiles while I was there. Usually you go to a show and there you'll see one or two grumpy people. I have no earthly idea why they might be grumpy, but I never even saw anybody, never heard a disparaging word. I think we were lucky in one respect in that it was horribly hot outside, and yet it was very pleasantly cool inside the halls. And that too may have had a little bit to do with driving people there. So, cuss the heat, but at the same time, I think this time it might have been a little bit of a blessing.
Well, that Gaylord Texan Resort knows how to host something like what we do. They've got air conditioning mastered, and there's just so many things there to do for the family. You know, all of our hotel bookings, Larry, as you know, include water park passes. And I know I think we might have lost you for a day because I know you're a big fan of water slides, and I think you were taking in a little bit of that, maybe.
I wish I could say yes, but no. I ended up a lot of times being cornered by people and telling Hunt the stories or trying to visit with as many of the exhibitors as I could.
Well,
say thank you.
That's it. What a great facility for families, though, huh?
It is. It's all under one big roof, essentially, and my gracious, you don't have to leave the site to go to places. The food, if you didn't eat at the night banquets, I understand I know there's a couple of steakhouses and those kind of things that were just, I've eaten at those in the cantina and a few other places. I mean, my gracious, and the rooms are really comfortable, and it's not a mile and a half walk to get from one side of the building to the other one. I love how they've got it maybe tiered or structured, kind of thing, so that everything is a relatively easy walk. But gosh, and the thing about it is too, this year I noticed there were quite a few people who I think were just merely guests of the hotel that all of a sudden realized, hey, I can go do this. Because I spoke to several of them and says, they came up to me and said, man, I love to hunt. Y'all are having the DSC summer show here? I'll be there. How did I get in? And I'd explain to them. Actually, there were several of those folks that I met. So I think we got a few conversions conversions. Maybe I think they probably became DSC members before it was all over with after they saw what we did and how we did things. So
that's it.
I have to ask you, what was your favorite thing about the entire convention? Or I call it convention. It wasn't the summer show. What was your favorite thing that you enjoyed the most out of it?
Well, that's hard with a show like this. That's hard to narrow down. I don't know. There were so many things. I thought the evening events were rock solid. The closing out the show, or at least the Saturday part of the show with the Gala, the DSC Foundation Gala. That's year 6 of the Gala. I always like to tell people a really nice gentleman named Larry invited me as his guest to the first one, and I just relaxed and had a great time and enjoyed the evening. And then I didn't know your ulterior motive was to get me to come on board here. And the last five Galas, you've worked me like a dog there, But the Gala has always got a special place in my heart. See what it's grown to over those 6 years, and it has been wonderful. The crowds each day, Saturday was just jammed, and Thursday was a nice opening day, and Friday was super busy. Saturday was, was just packed. And then Sunday's a nice day you can kind of catch a breath a little bit and get those last visits in that you maybe weren't able to on the earlier days. And I remember there was someone I needed to chat with about setting some dates for a trip. And I finally got to it as they were tearing down their booth at about 3:30 on Sunday, but better late than never, but I got it done. So it's hard to point to one thing, but gosh, everything was just so much fun. And, I always enjoy, like you, seeing old friends, but also making some new ones as well. And there was certainly plenty of all that going on.
Absolutely. Well, Saturday night was truly special in a lot of different ways as far as I was concerned. I had several very dear friends at my table, and then didn't realize it, but Russell Stacy, all of a sudden I heard my name called and said, stand up, and I did, and I had the whole entire room sing happy birthday to me and was presented with a birthday cake. And that was good cake.
And it looked really good. I almost stole a piece when I walked over to your table after that, but I knew a little bit about that going in, and I don't know if, I think maybe I might have just cracked the secret here, but maybe this summer Expo was really set in place so that we could just celebrate your birthday every year when we host it. So I think that should be a tradition now going forward. We just all go there and sing happy birthday to you.
I like that tradition. We'll talk about a fabulous birthday party. One of the things that was interesting to me about our DSC Foundation got things sold really well, but I've been to a lot of different nighttime banquets and auctions. And generally about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the auction, no matter how short or how long, you start losing people. You know what? I stayed until the end, and I don't know of hardly anybody that left the room. There were no empty tables like they normally are, and to me, that spoke very highly of how the evening went in terms for a lot of different reasons. But I was really impressed that people stayed compared to what they do a lot of times at some of the other places I've been.
Yeah, that no doubt about it. It was we ran a little longer than normal. We introduced a couple of things. We had a great opening night opening to the night with working with our friends from Retrieving Freedom. And,
yes, sir.
And that added a little bit of length. But you're right. Folks stuck around. You know what I think plays a hand in that, Larry?
What's that?
How about those pizzas coming along around about halfway through the auction?
I got tickled. We had a couple of few people at our booth, and unfortunately, two couples that usually sit at my table ended up being sick and couldn't come, and so I invited some other people to the table, and they put the pizza out there, and they go, "Did you order that?" And then all of a sudden they started looking around. I go, "No." I said, "That's kind of become a tradition here. Is once everybody eats, has a dessert, you get into the auction and everything's going great, and guess what? All of a sudden pizzas appear. So enjoy." And they did.
I'll give those pizzas a little credit in giving people that energy, that protein burst to kind of get them through the next few hours.
Well, I think it certainly did, and it could not have been a better evening for Saturday night. And you mentioned Sunday. Usually, I had to leave just a little bit early, but I was on the phone driving back that last 30 minutes with four different exhibitors, and I had talked to one of them, and he said, earlier, and I said, "Hey, did you have a good time?" "Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Did you sell everything you wanted to?" "No, not quite. We did really well." And I talked to those guys as they were tearing down their booths, and they go, "You're not going to believe what we did Sunday within the last 2 hours of the show." And they're going, this was an absolutely fabulous show. It may be one of the best shows that we've ever had. So it was interesting to me that it looked like it happens sometimes where you have people come through, they shop and all that kind of stuff, but these folks return to buy. And I know the exhibitors truly, truly appreciated that.
Yeah, we had the crowd was there for sure. And shows are, everybody's been part of the year. A lot of people have been part of these for a long time, but, they can be stronger one day than the other, stronger one year than the other. Right. But, I think by and large, folks really had good shows. Attendees came prepared to spend a little money to book some hunts or buy that bronze or look at that piece of jewelry or the watch or the gun, the firearm, whatever it happened to be. And I think that's just only going to strengthen. I mean, our attendance this year, last year for an inaugural show, we had strong attendance, really good. Folks had good shows. Exhibitors enjoyed it. Attendees enjoyed it. But the crowd this year was markedly larger, and I think that's just going to be the trend for a while here. The word is out now, I think, with more and more people that, hey, this is a can't miss deal. Come and have a good time. Great facility, great exhibitor partners, wonderful things going on the floor, lovely evening events and ladies luncheon and life member appreciation breakfast that is open to everyone. We just celebrate our life members at it, which are so important to DSC, but anyone can attend that and celebrate that and become life members, hopefully. So, from start to finish, there's something for everyone. And golly, I think, good time was had by all as far as I can tell.
It really was. I was very fortunate to be the MC at the life member appreciation, and it was the same thing there. People stayed until the very end, and I do think we added a few life members. There were I'll put it this way, there were a lot of old friends there that I've known for years, but there were a lot of faces I had not seen before. So that tells me we gained somewhere in the last months, and probably there even at the show, some life members. So really lived that. As I mentioned there, our life members are not only just the backbone of DSC, they're the lifeblood of DSC too. You and Russell and a few other people there work in the office, but it is darn few people compared to all the jobs that need to be done and get done by volunteers. So those life members, they not only they become life members, they become involved with their organization. And I think that's why a lot of people look at it and should look at it, that it is truly their organization and not somebody else's. But Boy, the life members sure keep coming through for us, I'll tell you.
Life members do. I always say, the DSC 100 volunteers, which some people they think, oh, you've got 100 volunteers. No, we have hundreds. We have hundreds of volunteers who give 100% of their effort this time of year and for the convention as well. And that is the DNA of DSC, and that is how that we're able to take a small staff and several board members and this army of DSC 100 volunteers and make it all happen and do it in such a way that is super welcoming to one and all.
Absolutely, and I know you and a bunch of other folks there left the convention, left the summer show, took 3 deep breaths, and are now working feverishly on the show that we've got coming up in January.
That's it. I'm at the office right now, and we just had a quick staff meeting just before this call, and so it was a moment to really celebrate an incredible summer show, and then let's now catch that breath, and we are of course planning for our annual convention. Goes on and every day of every year. And we start planning, we're already working on even further out than 27, of course, and the next summer show. I mean, it really never stops. But when you've got a team like we have and supporters like we do and partners like we do, it's an easy job to come in and be motivated to do to the best of your abilities. We have a good team doing that.
Absolutely. Of course, we are going to be in Atlanta one more time, and that's in early January, as I recall. I've got it on my calendar. I know I'm going to probably be driving in, but remind folks when that is, and then there's going to be something going on after we finish this show too, I understand.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we've been in Atlanta, having to take take a road trip with our annual convention. With them knocking down and rebuilding the K. Bailey Hutchison Convention Center here in Dallas. We've been in Atlanta the last 2 years, and earlier this year we had the show there, and it was a strong show, an improved show, and a new area, right? And so a lot of new people too, and something we're seeing, Larry. I looked at the reg numbers the registration information briefly a few weeks ago. There are a lot of folks that are from the Atlanta area and the Southeast that have been introduced to Dallas Safari Club because of the last 2 conventions there, that made the trek to Dallas Fort Worth and to the Grapevine, Texas, and stayed all week and had a great time at the show. So one of the silver linings of this road trip, if you will, is that we're growing the audience and the awareness of who DSC is and what we do and the important work that goes on and how they can get more involved. So that's really nice, and those folks are going to continue to be a part of DSC going forward. So you bet we are in 27, January 7th through the 10th of 2027, we'll be in Atlanta at the Georgia World Congress Center, and we're gonna have a very strong show there. I'm convinced of it. We've got great partners there, and so that is again January 7th through the 10th. And so folks can visit biggame.org. I know you're going to shout that out later. Visit our website at biggame.org and get all the information on that for exhibitors and or attendees, for registration, hotels, booths, you name it. And then something special is going to happen, Larry. We're going to have a great show in Atlanta in January, and then January 11th. I'm building a collection of every possible cliche about Texas, so I need your help. God bless Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. You name it. I'm gonna have everyone, because January 11th we're gonna take the road trip's gonna continue, and in 2028 we're gonna have the convention back in the great state of Texas at the George R. Brown Convention Center in downtown Houston. I used to live about a mile from there, and it's a great area, a great venue, incredible hotels, and some fantastic restaurants, I might add. And so we'll be in Houston and back in Texas in 28. All the folks that have been introduced to DSC and the Dallas Safari Club, DSC Foundation, the last few years in Atlanta, they're going to make the trip with us. All of our loyal supporters, partners, members, volunteers, exhibitors that are very used to Dallas Safari Club being in Texas, well, we'll be back in Texas. That'll be great. Have a great time in Houston, and then, of course, ultimately, when the K. Bailey Hutchison Convention Center is finished and that shiny new building is ready to go Dallas Safari Club will be back home then in the really wonderful city of Dallas, Texas.
Absolutely, but we are coming home to Texas after this coming year, so that I think is great news. There's something I really have enjoyed the time that I spent there in Atlanta with some fabulous people and all those kind of great things. But my gosh, there's something to be said about coming home, if you will. And so I know a lot of people are already talking about it, and I think you're already making plans. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody hadn't already booked some hotel rooms. They're pretty close to the facility, but. It's going to be a great show in Atlanta again this year. It was a good show last year. I got a feeling this year we're going to be one of those great shows that we've had like in the past.
Yeah,
but
I think a lot like what we're seeing with the summer show each year. Last year we had the inaugural summer show, which was really strong. This year it's even better. We had an vastly improved show in Atlanta in January earlier this year, and I'm convinced that when we're there in 2027, January 7 to 10, it'll be even better. And then, then we're just going to keep on a roll then, and we'll be back summer again in 27 at the Gaylord Texan, and then back in Texas for the annual convention in Houston, and everything's going in a very good direction. Folks are excited, Larry, members and attendees and exhibitor partners. And things are moving in a very good direction, and it is an exciting time to be a part of Dallas Safari Club, and I know really the best days are ahead.
I totally agree. Now, you wear a lot of different hats, and before we leave, I want to talk a little bit about hunting, but your job currently at DSC involves a lot of different things, and it involves reaching out for partnerships, as I recall. You want to tell people a little bit about that in case there's somebody that's listening, or they know somebody who is listening may know somebody that really needs to become more involved in DSC outside of just a membership?
Sure, you bet. There's so many ways that folks, individuals, and businesses can partner with Dallas Safari Club and DSC Foundation and be a part of what we do and the impact that we have. And that's from an individual standpoint, not just from a membership standpoint, but from volunteering. We're always looking to add folks to the DSC 100 volunteer army. We do wear a lot of hats here, a small team, and we do wear a lot of different hats, but partnering can take many different shapes and forms. We've mentioned a few on this call, some industry partners, and both that are directly in hunting and conservation and the outdoors, but also we've got partners that are more local businesses that just want to be a part of what's going on at DSC and DSC Foundation. They believe in our mission, and so those partnerships, those sponsorships can take many different sizes and shapes and forms and really organizations. And so the best thing I would say is if individuals or businesses are interested in partnering and sponsoring and collaborating with DSC, Dallas Safari Club, DSC Foundation, please give the office a call. They can always ask for me. I can certainly help them out, and we'll figure out ways we can work together to really, to promote, each of our organizations and what we do and how we can work together to really, ensure the future of wildlife and wild places and everything that goes along with that.
Absolutely. You heard Brian say it, and that is a great way to be a part of DSC, not just from a personal membership thing, but to really, truly get involved. And if your business or in any way is associated with the outdoors or from a peripheral standpoint even, DSC certainly would welcome your presence and your assistance, and we'd love to have you become more involved with DSC. Now, but before we shut this thing out, I've got to ask Brian Fienhold what he's got planned for hunting. You and I cannot visit without talking about some of the personal hunting trips that we've got going on. But what have you got coming up here before too very long? And the main reason I'm asking you is so I can come back to you and come up to the office, and we'll do another podcast there as well too. But what's ahead in the next several months for Brian Fienhold in terms of when you do get a chance to get away from the office for a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'm hunting some fish here in a few weeks, actually in about a week and a half, as you know, and so I do try to weave in a fishing trip every now and then. I always like to tell people I really don't like to fish. I like to catch fish. I was blessed with I was blessed with a lot of patience for hunting. I grew up sitting in a tree stand in Illinois hunting deer, and so I'm used to, the long haul there, and you solve a lot of world problems while you're up in the tree stand for lengthy periods of time. So I've got good patience there. I really don't with fishing, but I'm going to a great place with some good, really wonderful friends down in Belize. We're going to be there for a week. And I can't wait. We're near shore. We're going to be it's tarpon permit and bonefish, and then we'll go a little ways off and get into some billfish maybe, and some dorado or mahi, if you call them that, and tuna, and you name it, wahoo. And so that just all kinds of fish that I haven't caught a ton of over the years, a few maybe, but that'll be a lot of fun. A nice way to get out and relax a little bit and enjoy kind of the beach life for a little while with some really good friends. But from a hunting perspective, I've got one of my favorite places to go. In fact, my first Western hunt was with my father a long time ago. We hunted pronghorn out in Wyoming, actually near Casey, Wyoming, which I think is the home of Chris Ledoux, I believe. And so that was where it all started for me with Western hunting, where I kind of got that bug for spot and stalk. Well, I'm going back to Wyoming later this year, and a little bit about that, but I'm really excited about being a part of the Wyoming one-shot pronghorn hunt. And thank you, Larry, for being instrumental in making that happen. It's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, and so I'm really excited about that. I've got a great team, and we're all supposed to be practicing up for that, so we can maybe win that little hunt. But that group out there does some incredible conservation work, and they're to be commended for literally almost 100 years of doing some really, really great things in terms of conservation and a lot of water catchment systems and different things of that nature, and so much more. And I can't wait to get more involved there and be more supportive of the work that they do. So that'll be fun, middle of September, sorry. And then I think about a special moose hunt I've got in late September, early October with there's a group of 6 of us going, and a few of them. So our Russell Stacy, our CEO, and a couple of his friends from Louisiana, a couple of my friends, my cousin and friend from back in Illinois. So we've got a bit of a melting pot of a crew going. It's going to be the most probably relaxed and enjoyable moose hunt, where we'll all come back to a small lodge there at the end of the day with some good home cooking, and hopefully share a few success stories. But I can't get enough of moose hunting right now.
Well, having hunted moose numerous times in the past, I know you guys can have a great time there. Having been on the Landers one-shot antelope hunt, that is such a fantastic celebration of wildlife conservation, and with some of the finest people in the world when you get right down to it. Probably next to DSC and DSC Foundation, that's one of my favorite organizations pretty much on a national basis. And then I've had the opportunity to fish a little bit down around Belize in the past, and that is a fabulous place. So I have to tell you, I'm a little bit on the jealous side on all sides, from the moose all the way down to Belize. So somewhere in between there, we're going to try to grab you long enough to where you can tell me a story, maybe either right before you get to go to one shot or right afterwards, and catch up on a bunch of different things. But again, going back to DSC, the DSC Summer Show was fabulous. Our DSC Foundation Gala, oh my gosh, was out of this world good. We're going to be able to, because of the kindness of all of our sponsors, of our donors, and particularly of those bidders and buyers, we're going to be able to grant a decent amount of money again this year to those extremely well-vetted projects from throughout the world. And again, I want to stress the vetted part, because we really vet those before any money is issued. But thank you to all of those folks, and thank you for all the things you're doing, have done, and even more importantly, for all the things you're going to be doing here as we move forward with DSC and the DSC Foundation. So, Brian, I want to thank you so very much for joining us around the campfire. I look forward to seeing you again before too very long in person. And then I'm looking forward to seeing some of those photographs of some of the fish and the animals you're going to be taking as well.
Well, likewise. I'll share those for sure with you, Larry. And it was so nice to see you this past week at the Summer Expo and celebrate your birthday and celebrate hunting and conservation with a wonderful group of people. But I appreciate any chance we have to catch up. Being on your podcast here today is always a highlight for me, and I appreciate everything you do. You're kind of the Energizer Bunny of DSC. You're everywhere all the time doing great things. So keep it up, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so very much, Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn more about DSC, go to www.biggame.org and learn more about the DSC Foundation. Go to www.dscf.org. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you right back here next week. Thank you so very much for joining us.
DSC's Campfires has also been brought to you by the Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, Texas Wildlife Association, Habit, Our Gear, Your Adventure, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.